Welcome to the Boost Your Business English podcast, the podcast where we help you elevate your professional communication skills. I'm your host, Chloe, and as always, I'm joined by our business English expert, Alex. Welcome, Alex.
Great to be here, Chloe. Ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Today, we're tackling a topic that many of our listeners have asked about: business English for interviews.
That's right. An interview can be a high-pressure situation, especially when it's not in your native language. But with the right preparation, the right mindset, and the right phrases, you can really shine and show the interviewer exactly what you can do.
So, where do we start? What are the biggest challenges people face in interviews in English?
Great question. I'd say there are three key areas: making a strong first impression, confidently answering common questions, and then asking intelligent questions of your own to show you're truly engaged and interested in the role.
Okay, let's break that down, starting with first impressions. How do you walk into an interview and immediately set a professional tone?
It starts with a simple, polite greeting, a firm handshake, eye contact, and a phrase like, "It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to see me today." This shows respect and confidence from the very beginning. First impressions are formed very quickly, sometimes in the first 30 seconds, so those opening moments really matter.
That's really interesting. So the interview almost begins before you even sit down?
Exactly. The way you walk in, the way you greet people, your body language, your smile, your tone of voice, all of these things communicate professionalism before you even answer the first question.
That's a great point. Now, what about that classic opening question that almost everyone gets? Tell me about yourself.
Ah, yes, the famous question. Many people panic here because they don't know how much to say. The key is to be concise and relevant. I recommend using the present, past, future model.
Okay, so how does that work?
You start with your present role. Currently, I'm a project manager at XYZ Corp, where I specialize in managing international teams and delivering projects on time and within budget.
Okay, so start with where you are now.
Exactly. Then you briefly talk about the past. Before that, I worked as a team coordinator where I developed my communication and problem solving skills.
And then you finish with the future?
Yes, and this part is very important because it connects your experience to the job you're applying for. For example, I'm now looking for an opportunity where I can take on more responsibility and contribute to a growing company like yours.
Present, past, future. That's a really clear and professional structure, and it probably helps people avoid talking for too long.
Exactly. Interviewers don't want your whole life story. They want a clear, structured introduction that shows who you are professionally.
Now, what about those tricky behavioral questions? The ones that start with, tell me about a time when they always feel like a test.
They do feel like a test, but there's actually a very good structure for answering them. It's called the STAR method: situation, task, action, result.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say the interviewer asks, "Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult client." You could say, "In my previous role, I worked with a client who was unhappy with a project timeline." Situation. My task was to manage the relationship and find a solution. Task. I organized the meeting, listened carefully to their concerns, and then created a revised timeline with clear milestones. Action. As a result, the client was satisfied and we successfully completed the project on time. Result.
That's a great structure because it keeps your answer clear and focused.
Exactly. It also shows that you are calm, professional, and solution focused, which is what employers want to see.
Another question many people worry about is, what is your biggest weakness? That's a difficult one.
Yes, but it's really a question about self awareness and honesty. The key is to choose a real but manageable weakness and then show how you are working to improve it. For example, I used to be overly critical of my own work, which sometimes slowed me down. However, I've learned to focus on progress, not perfection, and I now use time management tools to make sure I meet deadline.
So you're showing growth and improvement, not just a problem.
Exactly. Employers don't expect perfect people. They expect people who can learn and improve.
That's reassuring, I think, for a lot of listeners. Now, once you've answered all their questions, the interviewer will usually ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" What should people do in that situation?
This is a very important moment. You should always ask at least one or two questions. Asking good questions shows that you are interested, prepared, and serious about the role.
What kind of questions work well?
Focus on the role, the team, and the future. For example, you could ask, what does success look like in this role in the first 6 months? Or, can you tell me more about the team I would be working with? Another good question is, what are the next steps in the interview process?
Those questions sound very professional and positive.
Yes, and they also show that you are already thinking about how you can contribute to the company, not just what the company can give you.
Before we finish, Alex, do you have one final piece of advice for interview candidates?
Yes, prepare out loud. Don't just think about your answers, practice saying them. Speak out loud, record yourself, listen to yourself, and practice again. Interviews are spoken communication, so you need to train your speaking, not just your thinking.
That's excellent advice. So, to summarize for our listeners, start with a confident and polite greeting. Use the present, past, future model for tell me about yourself. Use the STAR method for experience questions. Frame weaknesses as areas for growth, and ask thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
Exactly. If you prepare those areas, you'll feel much more confident and much more in control during the interview.
This has been incredibly useful, Alex. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us.
My pleasure, Chloe.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to the Boost Your Business English podcast. Join us next time and we'll discuss how to make small talk with your colleagues and clients.
Oh, wow, that's a trick subject. Great. Looking forward to it.